city that we love. An evil force has corrupted our home. Many fell and now the bards they stand alone. Blessed power rains down in waterfall. Holy magic desired by the Emerald Cabal. Injustice rots our city's very soul. Oppression is the noble's only goal. Rebellion rings in every street and every tavern hall. Now the time has come, my friends, to all answer the call. All answer the call. Now answer the Sirens, Battle of the Bards is an epic 5th edition campaign and setting, set in the decadent city of Salvata. Filled to the brim with over 300 pages, 20 adventures, over 10 new bard subclasses, and countless magical items, this is a fully immersive adventure. Mystery, intrigue, and deception lurk within every dark alley. The city of Salvata features 10 districts, including battle coliseums, amphitheaters, comedy clubs, taverns, bazaars, underground magic fighting rings, a new bardic university, and much, much more. You don't need to be a bard to adventure here. All are welcome in Salvata. Dive even further into the story with our partners, Mixed Dimensions, Wormwood, Level Up Dice, Campaign Coins, and Sirenscape. With the Weave storytelling platform, Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, Shard, and Foundry VTT, you can even play virtually. With a full orchestral soundtrack, multiple endings, and new game mechanics to encourage exploration and improvisation, Sirens Battle of the Bards places your party not only in the crucible of conquest, but at the heart of a battle for the soul of a growing empire. Will you sell out? Will the city be ground to dust? Will the heavens be lured down and open before you? Will you join the Emerald Cabal, the Rebellion, or forge your own path? The fate of tens of thousands is in your party's hands. Join our Kickstarter and inspire revolution.
Oh. And welcome back to my Twitch channel, which we are celebrating the launch of the Kickstarter Sirens Battle of the Bards, my very first Kickstarter. And, you know, we have a whole day of interviews. And right now we are interviewing one of our awesome VTT partners. And this is Roll20. We have Emily and Nolan from Roll20. Hi, guys. You want to introduce yourselves? Tell them what you do at Roll20?
Sure, yeah. Hi, I'm Emily. I am the director of licensing at Roll20. So I am responsible for, all of our publisher relationships, getting new and exciting titles onto Roll20 and getting those things in the hands of our players.
I'm Nolan. I'm the CEO and one of the 3 co-founders of Roll20. I do a little bit of everything. I try to stay to priorities and resources as much as I can and not micromanage as other people get the pieces of the train moving.
Yeah, I love Roll20 because there's so many ways to access it. For those of you out there who don't know, this is a virtual tabletop. So, you can buy our book, which you should buy our book. You can get our PDF, and you can also get one of our BTTs. And that's all listed in the tiers. So on the right side of the screen on the bardbook.com tiers. And it's really cool. You guys have integrated maps, tokens, lighting effects. Can you kind of tell those out there who don't already know a little bit about your BTT?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the folks who are buying at the Roll20 tier are going to get basically what I call the book plus. Like, you're going to get all the content from the book, but everything is set up and ready to go for your game. So it reduces the amount of prep time that you have as the GM. All the maps are going to be set up and built into the VTT, so you can throw your players right onto the maps. You can start leading them through the adventure right at go. All of the facts from the compendium, so that includes anything like spells or magical items or anything that you basically would find in the rule book, you're going to find in the Roll20 compendium. And those elements can interact with your character sheet too. So your players can drag and drop spells from the compendium right into their character sheet and be able to roll them right into the VTT. When they're building characters using our Character Mancer, they're going to be able to select features from the Battle of the Bards book and add them to their character as they're building them, as long as they've unlocked it with the purchase. So basically all the content from the book is not only there for you to look through in the same way that you would in reading the book, it's there for you to interact with, actively play with, and at the start of your campaign, at the start of your first session, you can interact with it right from go. So it's all ready for you.
Yeah. So what is the process like of building, you know, we spend a lot of time working on our book, but what is it like building this into the digital format? I don't actually know what that's like.
Yeah, it's a process where we have a whole production team that handles all of the what we call content conversion of basically taking books and integrating them into the VTT. And there's a few different elements of that. In some ways, anyone can be technically a creator for Roll20. If you can build something into the VTT as a GM, you can then potentially, if you own all the rights to it, sell that thing on Roll20 as a marketplace creator. So a lot of things like the modules that you use as a player are built straight into the VTT in much the same way that any GM builds their modules in. We of course we have very high standards for our quality, and we take a lot of care. So all of the maps are always set up with our dynamic lighting for our pro subscribers to use. So all those dynamic lighting lines are drawn in, and the settings are all set up in your tokens so that you can control what your players see using that dynamic lighting to make everything more immersive and exciting. We have, like I said, everything, all the tokens and all the handouts featured in the VTT so that all of the content is there set up with our standards ready to go. There are also some elements that are more complicated, like that compendium integration, the character sheet integration. That's much closer to coding. So that's something where we have our team of developers who work with all of our licensed content to get that put into the VTT at the top quality.
I think one of the things to point out in all this is like it's very similar to if you're running a game in person and it's WoW night. You know, like you really want to set the table and get everything to a place where the players are coming in and they've got everything set up in front of them just perfect. And oh my gosh, that's what we're trying to do. The digital version of is coming in and it's like it's all laid out for you. It's all ready. All you got to do is sit down and start rolling. And the closer we get to that, and it does take a lot of prep work to get it to that point that you just sit down and go.
Yeah, you created all the note cards because even with a book, you know, I'll have my book, but if I'm running a game at the table, I have to kind of piece apart the book into things that are accessible for myself and my players. You guys have already done that.
Right.
And I think, you know, people are like, oh, well, you know, if I get the VTT or if I get the book and there's a VTT and why two separate things? And it's like, well, you know, you got to pay all the programmers because it is a very complicated, but also it is accessible. And I think it's the accessibility that's really important that we want to highlight for the players and the game masters. Because even if you buy a book that is a campaign book, there are things for everybody at the table. Mm-hmm. So like, I guess, you know, how did you come up with this in the first place? Like, that's like a real question.
Nolan.
I mean, accessibility is what we were going for. I mean, to us, one of the things that was really rough about playing on the internet, it's been 9 years since we launched last week. And one of the things that was really rough at the time was you had to, you know, go download a cumbersome program and try to figure out how you were going to set it up and do port forwarding and a whole bunch of other things that were really difficult. And or even just thinking about Dungeons and Dragons as a hobby and that intimidation point of like, go read the 250-page manual before you're allowed to sit down with us. And we wanted to see how we could break that down and make it into something. And you know, to be doing it all alongside kind of this Let's Play movement and all of the Twitch live streaming, the things that have happened in the past decade that have made this all the more like people get to see other people do it before they go have that experience. And so it gives them confidence in doing it. It was, where do we fit as a tool set in all that? How do we make it so that that we're an additive piece in that. And it's been so rewarding seeing the Twitch streams pick that up and then seeing the players come in on the other side of that, and people who never felt the confidence of, I'm going to match this 250-page manual and set all these things up, go, but I can run through a bunch of hyperlinks, and I can, like, getting that part of this to solid has been fantastic, and it really is what we set out to do. I mean, at the beginning of all this, Richard Zayas, Riley Dutton, and myself, the partners who came up with this, we wanted to make it so it was something easier to use than anything else that was out there.
Yeah, it's amazing how, it makes so much sense. When I have a book, I'm a tabber. I put tabs so I can easily access everything, color coded, and icons. And you guys have done that in the upper right hand corner, your right hand, my left. You guys can see that along the top. I wish we had. Do you have anything, or you can just kind of give everyone a little taste of what you got?
There's so many. I will bring up actually. Oh no, that's so small. Give me one.
Yeah, no worries. But also, you've integrated music into this too, and as a siren and a bard, I think that's really awesome because you handled lighting effects, which is very important for immersion. You handled music, and you even handled a way for people to roll so that they don't have to roll dice at the table. And if you're playing virtually or digitally, you don't even need to have cameras on. You can just be voice or voice and cameras built into the program, which I thought was really clever.
No, and all of those things are coming down to how you want that experience to work, how you want it. A thing that I think is really funny is folks who will apologize that they aren't using all the pieces of Roll20, and that's not the point. The point of it is you've got this tool set. What will help you run the game you want to run? Do you want the voice and video? Do you want to do it via text? I happened to see your last section and you were talking about no matter what VTT you're using, we're going to use this physical dice. Real talk. That was a conversation early on. There were several people that in the very first games played on Roll20, they said, never in a million years am I going to do anything that is digital dice. I want to use physical dice. Great. That's precisely the sort of environment that we wanted to set up to where you could make the choices in terms of what you wanted your game to be.
Yeah, I really like that. And also, so I got in a car accident about 6 years ago now, where I couldn't think for 6 months, about almost a year, I couldn't calculate. And so it's like Roll20 is a good way for, if I'm having a bad brain day and I'm like, I just want to push a button and just calculate this, and I don't want to have to do the math for it. You guys have done that, and that's pretty awesome.
And that's one of those things that I find kind of funny in terms of so much of that, in terms of the power of it, was done for 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons, which was, for those who played it, a very math-heavy game. You felt sometimes like it was long division in terms of figuring out how much damage you had done. And so to make certain that for support of that, they do it all for you.
Here, I have something to show off if we want to do a little
show and tell.
Yeah. Do I just share my screen here?
Yes.
Disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, if Jimmy, you can if you can swap that out so it'll allow, that would be great. Just let us know when that works out. So screen sharing.
Screen share.
Yeah, let's try
that.
All right. Oh my gosh, too many tabs.
I know.
You should see my
on the spot
now.
too. So,
are you able to see this? Is this working?
Yeah, it is working.
Oh yeah, this is.
Is it almost working?
It's like half working. Yay! Okay, so this is just like my weekly D&D campaign that I play in. My GM is probably watching and I hope isn't mad that I have literally jumped into the game. But you can see, like, this is my character here with the dynamic lighting. I'm like in GM mode, so I can see everything, which is, cheating a little bit. But this is showing you a little bit of the basics of interacting with the VTT, swapping from map to map. And this is where I talk about, like, for your content, we're going to have all of the maps built out here with all this dynamic lighting integrated. You can see like we use, so the way that my fellow players and I play is we'll always like use the chat to do a quick assessment, like at the end of a session, in case we have some time between sessions, we'll make notes so that the next time we jump in, we can remember what happened in the last session. You can see all our roles here. I have the special opportunity of being in the beta for our mobile app. So I'm actually making all my characters' roles from my cell phone, like on the mobile app that we're
What?
developing.
Oh my gosh.
Little tease. So that's really fun too. You've got like all of the handouts from the adventure that we're running here, all of our NPCs and everything. My character sheet is built straight into the VTT as well, which is how I'm able to use it.
Oh my goodness.
This is one of the, I think it's so interesting in terms of doing this in terms of personal preference. Like, so Emily's talking about rolling from her phone. You could roll from the character sheet. You can go to the left and just roll individual dice. You can roll from the chat as a command. And all those sorts of things. None of that is a wrong answer in terms of you got a nat 20 off of it too.
It's a sign.
Good work. But within there's 3D dice within the interface that you can go and like physically roll if you wanted to move things in that realm. All of this was done so that you could, whatever the experiences you want to set up, whatever the ways that you want to make this happen.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
You have a cell phone beta. That's amazing. Yeah, what I really liked about this, so I started using it at the beginning of last year, like really hardcore, because I played on a lot of live streams that were doing that. But I was looking at it and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. So you got so many ways to use it. And what I really like is your page layout at the very top, because I want to be able to bounce between the maps and a still image to get them in the game without them losing that theater of the mind feeling.
Yeah, like having a place to log in and have your players like start. A lot of GMs can set up this space to like take character notes, or this is like the tavern that you enter when you're about to play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as long as you keep your players on that page by like dragging up the player token to that page, you make sure that that's all that they're going to see. But meanwhile, you as the GM can be over in a map doing your sneaky setups and putting all your monsters where they need to go and your NPCs on the page. So yeah, it's incredibly helpful just to keep everything flowing and keep everyone immersed in the game with all the content ready to go.
Yeah, and so it's nice, it's playful, it's really easy to get into. And then also you can watch one of a bazillion YouTube videos on how to get real crunchy about it. When I was doing my research, I was like, oh, what is happening? There's a whole movement of people who were just programmers building out macros. Like, talk about that a little bit if you could.
I mean, I think one of the things that's been really interesting over the course of Roll20 is to watch the overall community grow up around it. And there's that YouTube element of people who are doing programming or character sheets or API, the application programming interface, where they're making automated things happen in the interface. But then on top of that, paid game mastering and Kickstarter and all the other things that play into this wider ecosystem that is so much more than us. It's been so much fun to see, I don't know, that rising tide raise all ships in this process, and watch a real community develop in tabletop that is something more than what it was a decade ago when we came into it. It's been a blast seeing just the explosion of creativity from all corners.
Awesome. So with while we're wrapping up, we only have a couple minutes left. Please tell everyone where they can find you guys.
Roll20?
Yeah, roll20.net. Roll20.net, you can find, it's free to start an account. So if you don't have one, go in, make your account, start playing around. We do have subscription options, but the basics of the VTT are available for everyone to use. We have a really robust community. We just hit 8 million users recently, and we're steadily growing. And we've got tons of content coming to the platform as well. All your favorite D&D classics from Paizo, Call of Cthulhu, a lot of new indie content coming to the platform as well. And we're really excited to support publications like this, independent publishers, supporting creators and getting their content into players' hands is a big motto of ours.
I noticed in the Kickstarter, you've got Gabe Hicks working as one of the folks on this. There's a few things he's got up his sleeves that he's working on with us internally this year.
Yeah.
We get to work with a lot of great people, and there's a lot of great stuff on the way, and both from a content licensing standpoint, but also improvements to the tabletop. We've got more things. Our dynamic lighting system has some more tricks. We just rolled something out to the development server today that I think is going to make 5th edition fans very happy.
Oh, that's so exciting!
A bunch of just core feature work on the docket as well. So it's going to be a fun year.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here and taking the time out of your very busy and exciting day to support Sirens Battle of the Bards. If you haven't backed yet, go to thebardbook.com and scroll down on those tiers, and you will see the wonderful Roll20 is part of our VTTs. And yeah, with that, we're going to be back in about 10 minutes with, I believe we have C2 Gaming. Let me just triple check. Yes, at 12 p.m. Pacific, we have, wait a minute, let's see, I don't know what times are because I'm in mountain time. So 12 Pacific is 1 my time. That's C2 Gaming, and we're going to talk mechanics because yes, the bards are light and fluffy, but I'm a mean dungeon master, and I want to get into the nitty gritty about the mechanics on how we've been able to have the Bard book, Sirens Battle of the Bards, be for a tier 2 and tier 3 and tier 4 campaign. So with that, we're going to close out. Thank you so much, Nolan and Emily, for being here. It's so special. This is so special.
Thanks for having us.